Good afternoon. My name is Muha, and I'm excited to share with you a little bit about the study that I've been doing in how residence hall design on a college campus impacts student retention for the students at that university. In the competitive world of higher education, declining student enrollment continues to emerge as a significant issue for university administration to fix. There's current research on student retention and how we keep students engaged, and it primarily focuses on three areas. Number one is social belonging. Number two is predictive student demographic factors, and number three is the academic climate within the institution itself. This review is going to explore much of the research conducted surrounding student retention and how it intersects with residence halls. So for that matter, we're going to talk a lot about the first one, which is social belonging. I attempt to identify the impact that residence hall type and design has on student retention in the following discussion. First, let's start with some definitions. First of all, student persistence. This is the term that we use to refer to specifically whether a student remains enrolled the entire time that they're at college, from freshman year to graduation. This is a student-focused term, meaning it takes the perspective of the student that they are the one persisting. Student retention is another term we're going to talk about. It's the continued enrollment of a student from the university's perspective, and this largely focuses on year 1 to year 2. I'm also going to talk about different types of residence halls. I'm going to mention traditional residence hall style, which is going to be a hall that has 2 to 3 people per room, and they share a bathroom with the remainder of the hall. A lot of community built in. Then we have suite style, which is 2 to a room that share an adjacent bathroom with one other room, smaller community. And then finally, apartments, which is our most isolated and autonomous unit that we generally see for student housing, where you have 3 to 4 people living in a private space. The history of student retention begins kind of in the 1950s. In the 50s, there was a huge emphasis on the students' individual traits that influenced their commitment to higher education. Factors that were considered to influence their retention included things like their gender, their race, their socioeconomic status, and their age. These were all factors that put the emphasis on the student themselves. In the 1970s, Vincent Tinto came along and flipped a lot of our understanding of student retention upside down. He then emphasized the institutional level factors. Things like learning environment, the faculty and staff engagement, the social belonging that a student felt on campus. He suggested these are campus factors that could be changed, adapted, and ultimately manipulated to influence student retention. He found several significant student retention factors. First of all, he suggests that all campus staff play a significant role in affecting retention in 3 primary ways. Number one, in helping a student with their sense of self-efficacy. Their belief that they are able to see a goal and have what they need to do to accomplish it. Number two, he suggests that campus staff help create a sense of belonging, that when a student is on campus, they feel like they belong there and not just are a visitor. And number three, in the perceived value of the curriculum. This is where the faculty largely come in. Residence life, then, has a unique opportunity to influence all of these, but primarily they influence the sense of social belonging, as this is the place where the student, when they are done with the classroom, go to spend their evenings with their roommates, their floor mates, and ultimately spend their evening sleeping on campus. This is the sense of home. So when we talk about social belonging, we see a couple different things show up in research. In 2016, Samura suggests the sense of belonging and quality interactions highly correlates with a student's satisfaction level in college. This is logical. If you feel like you belong there, and you have quality interactions with the other people who belong there, you're going to enjoy that experience more. Freeman, Anderman, and Jensen in 2007 would agree, and they suggest that social acceptance is the most important variable in relation to the sense of belonging. Broncom and Bowman take it one step further and say the residence hall experience, living in the dorms, is a significant source of that social belonging. So we see a link from residence halls to social belonging to retention. We're going to talk more about how we see this and some of the specific features that actually help us with the retention efforts that we're trying to accomplish. Currently, colleges attempt to increase student retention and use their residence life programs by having a couple of different factors that increase the retention rates. Number one, many of them require students to live on campus for at minimum their first year or maybe up to a certain age. Modern residence halls are created in a post-World War II desire, as Proctor found in 2008, that refers to a total institution It's something that's intended to immerse students in both the academic community and their home community. It's meant to be a place that is entirely encompassing. This is where we see living learning communities like Bauer and Kiger found in 2017 that were intended to foster academic engagement and promote mentoring among students who have similar motivations and similar experiences. The residence hall experience and the academic experience are designed to go hand in hand. In 2011, Shuddy found over a longitudinal study of over 3,400 students, so a significant sample size, found that when compared to students who live off campus, students who live on campus in the residence halls experienced a 3.3 percentage point increase in their probability of persisting from their first year to their second year. This is significant. Bronkema and Bowman also found that traditional residence halls provided better retention outcomes when considering the academic achievements. This is what I mean when I say the traditional style of a residence hall, that there's 2 to 3 people per room and they share a large dorm with a shared bathroom with many community members. So those are just a few aspects that point to some shared design features, and I want to dive a little more into what specific design features actually are helping us with retention. First of all, Proctor in 2008 suggests that there's a sweet spot number that we want to look at for the actual capacity of the room. He suggests 100 to 120 students per residence hall. This is different than many residence halls that seek to maximize footprint on the campus and have upwards of 200 or 300 students. He also suggests that the types of materials should be more expressive and inviting than raw and expressive. He wants to see buildings that create a sense of welcoming and not just simply look like they were designed with modern art in mind. Wilcox and Holohan in '76 found that the building that has fewer floors, closer proximity of rooms, and fewer total rooms have a direct influence on the degree of commitment as well as the patterns of interaction, the emotional support, and the level of involvement that a student had in their organizational commitment. This is a significant example of design features that lead to desired results. A few more design features that we found are that the style of building is significant in how it affects retention. We see that traditional residence halls lead to good outcomes. On the converse side, apartments actually created an environment where up to 70% of apartment residents were dissatisfied with their opportunity to develop friendships. This was done by Kozai in 2014, who found that this was a significant problem on campus, that apartments were creating isolation. Color also was perceived to be a significant factor, as blue promoted serenity and calm, and so the color of the interior of the residence hall actually helps our students feel more at home and more like they belong in that space, which leads to those retention outcomes that we're looking for. Additionally, apartment styles were found to promote more alcohol consumption, more social drinking, and heavy episodic drinking than your traditional residence halls did. This is a significant factor as we look at what it means to be in college. A lot of students have this idea that is similar to what we would see in an Animal House movie that suggests that alcohol is a part of campus life. This is a factor that leads to students struggling both academically and socially, and the style of building affected the degree to which a student engaged in these sorts of behaviors. So if we're looking for design features that we want to see changed or manipulated, the style of the residence hall itself, the number of people per living space within that building, is vital for us to understand the implications it has on student retention. This is why suite style, traditional style dorms tend to have better outcomes than apartments. So in conclusion, we see design features affect a student experience of social belonging in significant ways. And so wherever possible, university administration, like myself, who work with student housing, should seek to influence these behaviors and these factors for their benefit. If we don't consider these, we risk inadvertently ignoring a significant contributor to our student retention efforts. We may see poor student retention because of our lack of attention to these details.